Welcome to YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Alison McConnell and Tam McManus are here with me. Thank you to you for joining us on a regular basis and consuming our content right across PLZ Soccer. If you want all that breaking news at your fingertips, you can download the app as well. But don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join the football family. Every day there's something on PLZ Soccer. We've got our reporters out at key games and press conferences as well. We'll look back at the weekend's results in the Scottish Premiership as well, for you to savour. Your team, how did they fare? Give us your point of view on our YouTube channel. Let's first of all start by saying Michael Wimmer is Motherwell's new boss. And if you want to find out a little bit about him, then this is what Patrick Mullen has found out about the new man at Fir Park.
Motherwell have unveiled Michael Wimmer as their new manager this morning, so here is everything you need to know about their new man. The 44-year-old started his coaching career with FC Nuremberg, where he rose up through the ranks in the academy and was eventually made their B-team assistant manager. He held both assistant roles with FC Augsburg and Stuttgart before being made interim boss in 2022. His first permanent post as a manager was with Austria Vienna, where he coached 61 games, winning 27 of them before being eventually sacked, with the club sitting 8th in the Austrian Bundesliga. He's been out of work since May 2024, but back in December he was set to become Bristol Rovers manager before failing to secure a work permit. He will also bring Ahmed Kosh with him to be his assistant, someone he's worked with since 2013. His first taste of Scottish Premiership action will be against Dundee United this weekend, so Motherwell fans, get in the comments and let us know what you think about your new manager.
Yeah, didn't see that one. That came out of left field, Ali.
Yeah, it did. An interesting appointment. I think you'd have to applaud them for maybe doing something a bit different. Interesting to see what he brings to the table, but I think it's Scottish football. I think you don't get a lot of time to make an impression or before judgment is passed, so I'm sure he'll want to get off to a fairly strong start. Yeah,
remit, fairly simple, Tam, keep Motherwell in the division.
Yeah, I think it's very tight at the minute. They could still finish in the top 6 if they go on a good run. They're still in the mix for that. But as it's thinking outside the box, I think a lot of Motherwell fans will be excited. It's not one of the usual names that's bandied about. I think they'll be excited that it's someone different, and they'll be hoping that he's a success and it's Wimmer chicken dinner.
Yeah, absolutely. Not really the start we wanted on the programme from Tam, but that's what you get for the money you pay, Ruffy, isn't it? He just thinks about them non-stop. Do you know what I mean?
Bargain basement level.
That's exactly it, Ali. We spent all our budget on Ali, and this is what we're left with. So, listen, not out of it, Ruffy, because 31 points, Tam's talking about being optimistic and looking at the top end. I'm looking at it and saying to myself, well, playoff is they're 4 points ahead of Dundee, who are in that playoff position.
Yeah, Ross County are upsetting everybody, winning games when they're not supposed to win them. They're putting pressure on a lot of the other teams round about them. And somebody needs to go on a wee run, maybe 2 games, 3 games to get them away. The splits coming fast and furious, and if a lot of them were down there at that time, who knows who might go. I still think St Johnstone will go.
Yeah, okay. We'll talk about the games at the weekend, and of course we will discuss Celtic heading to Germany to face Bayern Munich in that return leg, 2-1 behind. Can they somehow upset the apple cart in the Allianz Arena and win that match? Give us your view on that, as well as Hearts score 3 in the capital but still end up losing. This is, of course, the game between Hearts and Rangers. We'll discuss that.
Rangers.
Hearts.
Rangers scored 3 at Hearts. Just a mistake, little mistake.
No. He doesn't get it, does he?
I'd
rather have your Wimmer. Hearts score 3 in the capital, but Rangers still end up winning. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Ruffy. There is a bit of
recorded it on his beta match. Watched it tonight.
Yeah, there is a bit of thought goes in.
What was I watching?
Ali, why didn't you just quickly?
Wow.
You're usually quicker than that. But anyway, sometimes it's just a waste of time writing a script for this show. Okay, we'll discuss that to win.
That sound you've heard is a penny drop.
Yes, exactly, that loud thud. We'll discuss that. We'll get your thoughts on the match between Hearts and Rangers as well. And obviously Kenny has just posted in right away. Goal of the weekend, Keskinen. Well, listen.
The Aberdeen fans are back on the day, Peter. Let them up and hiding for 2 months.
The Dons fans are now here. I mean, maybe Kaiser will show up as well. We haven't seen or heard from him anywhere. Listen, the joy of it all is the Dons are back. Can they win the league still? Give us your thoughts on Aberdeen and their performance as well. Before we get to that, I just want to start by offering condolences to friends and family and everyone, work colleagues as well, for Patrick Barclay, who is a man who sadly passed away at the age of 77, a truly gifted journalist, author, and a very articulate broadcaster as well. And we were lucky enough to have him in the studio with us on a couple of occasions. Ruffy, we had him down at Wembley as well. It was great with Patrick as part of our team ahead of England against Scotland. Yeah,
he was very passionate about, obviously, most games, and that was a big game, and he had a lot of history behind it. But you're right, very well thought of as a journalist, you know, and on that given day we were up in the top of the building. He was very, very good.
Yeah, and of course the other thing about him, Ali, is a huge Dundee fan.
He still kept his season ticket.
Loved the dark blues.
I think he was back for like one game a season or so often, but yeah, I think he still kept his season ticket and big friends with Alan Patillo, another big Dundee fan too. Really sad news this week.
Yeah, I mentioned the fact that he'd written several books as well, one on Sir Alex Ferguson, Sir Matt Busby, Jose Mourinho, and Arsenal manager Herbert Chapman. When we had him on the programme, he explained the inspiration the inspiration for, first of all, writing the book on Sir Matt Busby.
The point is that I wrote, a few years ago, I wrote a book about Sir Alex Ferguson, and it always occurred to me that that at least 2 generations of people need to be reminded that one of Sir Alex Ferguson's greatest achievements was to replicate what Sir Matt Busby had done. And I don't think Alex Ferguson would consider that demeaning or in any way diminishing his achievement. I mean, how could you chip away at that block of his achievements? But I think he would probably concede that he continued the traditions of Matt Busby, he continued the methods of Matt Busby, and he continued the philosophy of Matt Busby in Manchester United. And I think that's one of. I mean, people talk about the trophies won under Ferguson. I think maintaining the philosophy that Busby built was, to me, one of his most important achievements.
Yeah, the great Patrick Barclay, who sadly passed away. And again, our thoughts and prayers to his family, friends and work colleagues. The tributes to him over the weekend have been unbelievable. A truly gifted journalist lost to our game. Also, and I hate to stick with this theme of people who sadly passed away, but our condolences also go to Hearts supporter Charles Stuart, who sadly passed away at the age of 79 at the end of yesterday's match at Tynecastle. His family put out a tweet, and you never, ever like to hear that sort of news, especially, Ali, you were there at Tynecastle at the time.
Yeah, I think it's really sobering, actually. I think we all get caught up in moments of football, and then something like that happens and it's very stark. I think the shout went up immediately for paramedic assistance to go and offer some aid. I think a couple of the Rangers doctors were trying to get up to help as well, and yeah, it's awful to see it. Thoughts and prayers go out to that family, because the suddenness of a death like that, I think, must be very hard to take. Yeah, absolutely. And Charles himself was a lifelong season ticket holder at Hearts, a real true Jambo fan, and greatly missed he will be by his family and friends as well. Football was his love. Football certainly was our main topic at Tynecastle, because a lot of people were thinking, Tam, Rangers are going there and they're shaky at the best of times, and this was potentially another banana skin that some people were suggesting could put Philippe Clement under even more pressure, but it didn't pan out that way.
No, it didn't. I think that first and foremost, Rangers needed to win the game. I think from the result last week, the criticism that they took all week after that shocking, cup exit, they had to go to Tynecastle and win by hook or by crook. don't think it was a great performance. I've seen Rangers play a lot better. You look at the game as a whole, I think Hearts will be a little bit, peeved that they not only lost the game, but particularly 3-1. I think that obviously McCart with the 2 own goals, could have scored 3 own goals. I think Craig Gordon did another one for him. Just had one of those days where nothing went right for him. But Hearts created a lot of opportunities in the game. I think that Jack Butland had 2 or 3 really good saves, and on another day, Hearts could have won that game. So I think Hearts will be disappointed that they lost the game, but I think they'll be pretty pleased with the way they played. I thought they did outplay Rangers at times, but listen, Rangers just need to win games at the minute, and that's all the manager needs to do, by hook or by crook. I've seen some quotes on social media about XGs and stuff like that, and just go and win the game, and that's all Rangers need to do at the minute.
Yeah, of course, with that criticism and constant questioning about whether he should still be in a job, Philippe Clement clearly wanted to emphasise that his players came out at Tynecastle and showed the right mentality to get the job done.
The result is always more important. I hear that from you guys every week. So if the performance is good and we don't get the results, it's about the results at the end, always. So that stays in football for every club. You cannot also say that the performance was not good today. If you scored 3 goals away at Hearts, and you could have scored more with the offside situations. But there were moments in the game that we could have made better decisions, for sure, defensively and offensively. But the mentality, that was spot on.
Well, I think he's got a point. I think, to be fair to him, Alison, Gordon Strachan said the secret to being a successful manager at a big club like a Celtic or a Rangers is win again, and just keep winning. Performance and that purest attitude of let's win by entertaining. You can only do that if you've got a team capable of that.
Yeah, no, he had to win. I don't think anything else at Tynecastle would have helped the situation at all. I have to say, I think all the indications are that Philippe Clement will be in situ until the end of the season. But certainly I think what the win done yesterday was just alleviate a lot of the noise around his position, ease a bit of the pressure on the players and the intensity on the back of obviously what's been a pretty harrowing week, you would think, for the Rangers players, for the club, and just for the scrutiny that everyone came under in the aftermath of that cup defeat to Queen's Park. So I think the be-all and end-all against Hearts was getting a result. And Jack Butland actually referenced it in his post-match stuff when he said, this week we knew that Hearts would be thinking that they would send blood, that they would get one over on us, and we had to be sure they were coming here. You cannot let that happen. And I think that's got to be the key. I think the season is almost pretty much done for Rangers now. They've got that Europa League tie, but effectively, domestically, certainly, the season is at an end. I think now it's about trying to just consolidate in terms of finding a solid base between now and the end of the season, not to let further rot set in.
Did they play well, in your mind?
I don't think they played particularly well. No, I wouldn't have said so. I think on another day, in fact, I think if it hadn't been for Butland, I think Hearts might have taken something. I think 3 times he denied Elton Kibangu. He did a really good save from Lawrence Shankland from a volley. I think on another day, Hearts might have taken something. I think you can sense there's still a fragility about Rangers. You can sense that there's still a wound there, and I think better teams might exploit it.
As far as Hearts are concerned, the manager, Neil Critchley, was happy with their performance despite the result.
A little bit of misfortune for maybe 1 or 2 of the goals as well, and that's what's decided the game. But yeah, so many positive things. I thought we were very good, thought we were excellent. Took the game to them, went toe to toe with them, and I don't think 3-1 is a fair reflection of the game.
What did you make of it, Ruffy?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I thought Hearts were very, very good. I think we've already discussed Jack Butland probably got Rangers out of it. I think Hearts should have taken something out of the game. There was 2 points of the game I remember. I thought Rangers were very fortunate. I thought the Hadji tackle could have been a red card. And I thought the push in the penalty box for the Rangers centre-half never went Hearts' way either. So I think if I was a Hearts manager, I'd feel a wee bit annoyed, they never took anything out of the game.
You think they should have had a penalty?
Yeah, I thought this was a penalty. I thought it was a push in the back. I don't know. Did it get looked at?
Didn't get looked at. Neil Critchley had said that he hadn't seen it back. He wasn't particularly strong on it, and after the game,
the Hadji tackle.
The Hadji tackle, I think, because it landed almost. I thought maybe at the top of his boot. I think if it'd been higher, he might have gone, but I think it was on his boot rather than above.
Yeah. Were you impressed by Hearts?
I thought Hearts done all right. I think they need to be more clinical. I think Cabangu should have scored a couple of times through. He should have scored. And Butland did well, but I think you're looking at your striker there to be a bit more clinical.
Tam, I think we're all of the general opinion, and a lot of Rangers fans that I think you were speaking to yesterday, a lot of really good, balanced insight from Rangers supporters. I mean, that's one of the things that you mentioned today was the fact that there wasn't this real clamour from the Rangers fans you were speaking to and interviewing. There wasn't this real clamour for the manager to get sacked.
I thought they were very considered. I spoke to a couple of fans and I thought they were very articulate. They gave fairly compelling reasons why they didn't think sacking him now was the right thing to do for the club. I think they were fairly honest. I think people would accept it's a humiliation going out the Scottish Cup to a Championship side, a team that are sitting 5th in the Championship. But they have all looked at it and assessed the fact that this is a club that has no money, that financially, even if they go out and bring someone in, that there's not going to be a pot of money to restore that team, to say, here's a pot of gold to go and rebuild a side, that whoever's coming in, this is the tools that they have to work with. I think there was an acceptance of that. And the feedback I was getting was people saying, well, let's wait and see where we are at the end of the season.
Yeah, and as ever, Tam, St Mirren on the horizon, Kilmarnock, Motherwell before that game at Celtic Park on the 16th of March. So you're looking at it and saying, OK, you can build up a bit of confidence with those 3 games. They would be expected to win them. Obviously, if they can get a positive result in the European campaign, it might allow them a kind of a bit of breathing space, a rosier picture, give them the opportunity to try and continue that narrative of, it's not going to change with any other manager. This is me and this is what I've got to do.
Yeah, listen, I think the European tie is huge for Rangers. I think that I looked at the prize money, I think they're £2.5–3 million to get through that tie, and then the following tie is the same. So I think as long as Rangers are in there and doing well in Europe, I think that Philippe Clement will be safe. I think if they get knocked out, probably it's looking like Fenerbahce in the next round. That's definitely a tie that Rangers can win. If they get knocked out with that and then they lose to Celtic, then the clamour will come back again. But it was just interesting speaking to Ali, because I think social media probably tells a different story. A lot of people are shouting for his head, but the Rangers supporters I speak to and I know have accepted that they're second best and there's no quick fix to this, and they just have to stick with the manager probably to the end of the season, Philippe Clement, and try and build again. As you said, if they sack the manager, they have to pay him off, they get somebody else in. They're still going to have a very little budget for next season, so I think they'll stick with him, Peter. I said that if they were going to sack him, they'd have sacked him straight after the game last week, and I think they'll stick with him no matter what. But the European run, I think, is vital for Philippe Clement and Rangers in terms of money coming into the club.
Yeah, the big, every year, the big moment, Ruffy, comes around about April, because you've got to sell season tickets. You've got to get people to buy into your plan for the future, and that's really where, off the back of a good European run, that would really strengthen the board's case to say to fans, listen, he just needs time, he just needs money. We're going to stick to our point, which was quite simple. You can't just, as Hugh McDonald put it, a rinse and repeat of sacking managers all the time. We're going to stick with them. We're going to give them money, and look at what's happened in Europe. If they can provide some little modicum of positivity.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's going to raise its ugly head every time there's a poor result, and then you've got to say to yourself, what kind of longevity do we go on here? Having a high and a low and a high and a low and a high and a low. You've got, there has to be a breaking point somewhere. And even if you give him to the end of the season and then just say you start the season and he loses 2 games, is that you back to where you were? You've got to make a decision. If it is going to be him long term, then you've got to put it out there, then it is him. because every time they have a bad result, it's banners everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course the other aspect of this is quite simply, and again, Jan says anti-Rangers comments as usual. Jan, you really have to, like so many people, try and listen to the context of the whole conversation and not the bits that you think you want to hear, because this is a situation where Rangers fans are offering their opinion on a regular basis on our feed. And we call it as we see it on the performance of the team, the words of the manager, and as Alison interviewed Rangers fans yesterday, on their feelings towards the manager. So you can only deal with the facts of what is unfolding in front of you. And again, the other great thing about watching games week in, week out, especially on this programme, we always advise people, if you just want to hear that your team is the best team ever, they don't make any mistakes, then Club TV is definitely the best alley for people to go and watch and just flag wave. We try and give our opinions, some you like, some you don't.
I think we're very balanced. I think we give an assessment as we see it. I think that's all we can do.
Yeah, so with that in mind, give us your view on it, and certainly on our social media, interviewing the Rangers fans. They have looked at the season. I think the general consensus from everyone that we've spoken to is that there's a feeling that the season is over. The only shaft of light could come in the European games. Can they get past Fenerbahce? As someone put here, asked Tam, is Fenerbahce better than Queen's Park? The point here is that Rangers, and I think this is where I think they defy, the odds, Ruffy, is they produce European results that get, that they deserve the credit.
Yeah, they've been a breath of fresh air in Europe. You can't take any game that they've played. They've been very, very good. Even the away games where you think they'd be under a bit of pressure, they've handled the situation very well. I think a lot of the Rangers supporters will be scratching their head why it's not happening in the league, and it is very, very good in Europe. So that is the big plus at this precise moment in time.
Yeah. Thanks to Kenny Merchant, who's out there in Los Angeles. He says, Jan, I'm the only anti-Rangers fan on the show. Kenny's a huge Aberdeen fan, and he's just waiting for us to get to the Don, so we better crash on. Celtic 3, Dundee United 0. McGregor, Jota and Adam Idah scoring the goal. I am loath at the moment to commit to which of the three goals got goal of the weekend. There was three absolute belters. Kenny will undoubtedly think it's Keskinen. Adam Idah scored a belter. I think when you go 2 goals behind, though, especially at Celtic Park, Ruffy, you're on a hiding to nothing. You just can't get back at them. You've actually got to score first.
Yeah, you have, and you've got to get some kind of possession of the ball, which no team I have seen doing at Parkhead basically this year. Celtic always have possession of the ball, and at the end of the day, that means you're going to win the game. You might get a couple of shots here and there, but it was total domination, 2-0, the usual 60 minutes, take 5 off, put 5 back on again, stroll through the game, get another goal late on, but that's the way it's been most of the year. They just eventually, teams will go there, and the teams that try and sit in will try and spoil the game, but eventually they always seem to get a goal, with the possession that they've got.
Jota, he just
looks as if he's never been away, Peter.
Honestly, I was just thinking to myself, some players you need to time to settle back
injured
in.
for 18 months or something, and he just looks as if he's never been away. And a lot of people would have looked at him and thought, he's not played much football in the last year, 18 months, but he's come in, he looks sharp, he looks fresh, he looks hungry, to prove that he's still the same player that he was before, and he's so good on the ball. He holds his position well in the wide areas. He wants to isolate the fullback 1v1. He's got end product. He can score goals. He can create goals. You look at what Celtic sold him for and what they're bought him back for, and he's still 25, 26 at peak of his career. I think it's great business, and I think he's hit the ground running quicker than a lot of people would have anticipated. But as Ruffy said, I don't think Celtic have lost a goal domestically at home since Aberdeen.
Yeah.
I think that's the only team.
Game. It's just in the at home.
That's what John said. He said Aberdeen came back from 2-0 down at Celtic Park earlier in the season, Peter. John, you're absolutely 100% correct, but it is rare that you get a situation where a team goes a couple of goals down to Celtic and can come back. And Aberdeen were on that was a hot run for them.
Yeah, and I think they rode their luck a bit in the latter stages of that game, if I remember correctly. Celtic kind of throwing everything at them and Aberdeen held firm. But I think that's the only 2 domestic goals that Celtic have lost at Celtic Park this season.
Yeah, which tells you...
In the league.
Yeah, and that goes nicely to the next point, which has been made on our feed, which I tend to agree with. I was talking to a Falkirk fan this morning, before I came into work, Ruffy, who was waxing lyrical about the Bairns and the football they're playing and the manager they have in John McGlynn. I'm a huge fan of the way John McGlynn's Falkirk play. And this comment here says, the best team at Celtic Park this season was Falkirk.
Falkirk were fantastic.
I mean, honestly, did you know what? Falkirk put a lot of people to shame.
Came in and played football.
Yeah. I just thought the football they played was absolutely magnificent.
It takes a lot of ball to do that as well, Peter, as a manager. I think a lot of managers, a lower league team going to Parkhead, I've seen Wraith Rovers, last week or a couple of weeks ago, came and played 4-5-1 and just tried to basically keep the score down. And if you go and open up like Falkirk, you risk getting beat 7-8-9 with Celtic in the form they're in. But I think John McGlynn deserved great credit that he stuck to what he's doing in the league, stuck to what's been successful for him in the last couple of seasons, and went and really took the game to Celtic. And I agree with that. Obviously out with the Champions League teams that have went there, but domestically, I think Falkirk probably put it up to Celtic more than anyone this season at Parkhead.
Yeah, I think of the 2 teams, I think we've got to pay tribute to Aberdeen, Ruffy. I thought they come back well to get the 2-2 draw then. And again, it wasn't a drastically different Aberdeen side from the one that's failed certain managers in the previous years, but there was something that Tillene was able to get out of them. That suddenly you were on that belief that maybe they could cause a little bit of a problem here. But Aberdeen deserved credit, and Falkirk certainly for me have played the best football.
Yeah, I mean, that time with Aberdeen with the 2 each, Aberdeen were on that fantastic run. Obviously the confidence was there, and they were talking about, if we're going to continue this, we need to do it down in Glasgow, and they came down and they did play particularly well. But as Alison said, Celtic are taking their chances in the end of that game. It might have been 4 or 5. And to go back to the Falkirk one, I think you've got to get any team that goes to Parkhead and have a go, because you're there to entertain. No supporter wants to go and see a team just sitting in and saying, all right, we're just going to sit in here, but when are you going to score a goal?
No, Celtic are there to entertain their fans.
Yeah, but no, I think Falkirk's attitude that day to go there and not think they're going to win, but they're going to go and make a go of it.
Yeah.
I'd rather go to a game, pay my money, whatever it is, to get in and see a team actually trying to compete.
Yeah, I thought it was refreshing, the attitude of John McGlynn's side. In the end, they came a cropper, but that was to be expected. But the way they went about their business, and when we're complimenting players and teams and goals that we see along the way, Adam Idah's goal was an absolute belter.
Yeah, it was, and it just shows you, he was just about to come off. I think the boy Kenny was just about to come on. He was standing waiting to come on. And I think Idah had 5 or 6 attempts at goal. It just looked as if it was one of those days for him. But takes a touch and fantastic finish technique, Peter. The ball's just bouncing in front of him and he put it in the top corner. But again, those 2 goals against Aston Villa in the Champions League have transformed him. He looks a different player now. He looks sharper. He's scoring goals now, and all of a sudden that £9 million price tag, the Celtic fans are not talking about it now. There was a period where we were going, why have you paid £9 million for him? But as long as he keeps scoring goals, then they'll keep those dissenters quiet.
I think he'll start with Idah though on tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's a stone wall,
I think he'll go over Idah rather than...
Yeah, and of course you're talking about the match against Bayern Munich. It's a confidence boost for Celtic to go into that game off the back of the win, but they know they're 2-1 down, and it'll be interesting to see what everybody thinks here of the scoreline. What do you think is going to happen in the Allianz Arena against Bayern Munich? This is what Brendan Rodgers had to say ahead of the trip out to Germany. We've made great strides this season from last season in the competition. We've been competitive. I wanted us to be able to show our level throughout the competition, and we've done that. Whatever happens on Tuesday, the guys can be really proud of what they've achieved, and we look to build on that again. And I think that sums it up perfectly, Ruffy, because again, for all his faults, and we have highlighted them, his remit, come back to Celtic. Domestically, they're always going to be, dominant, but come back to Celtic and get them a playoff place, and they did that.
Yeah, they did that. It didn't look too good after the first game. You know, I think we were all going, here we go again. You know, he has to change his attitude. He did that at Atalanta when they got nothing each, and I think anybody saw that. You know, but they changed their sort of a style and defended a wee bit better. You know, I personally think the new format has suited Celtic. I think it's a better avenue of trying to qualify when you've got 3 games at home against not the best teams, but teams you would think you were going to beat. So you're thinking 9 points, whereas in the group stage sometimes it was difficult to get that 9 points. So I think the new format has suited, but I think the Celtic supporters will be more than pleased with what's happened this year in Europe.
Yeah, they'll be more than pleased that Harry Kane has picked up a facial injury and didn't train. So
yeah, not the best result for Bayern Munich at the weekend either. But listen, I think Harry Kane or not, I think this will be a really difficult evening for Celtic tomorrow night. I think realistically, I just don't fancy Celtic's chances at all. I think you would expect them just to be far too strong. This is a team that have designs in going and winning this competition. I think you are among elite level clubs. Ignore even just all the history and prestige, the pedigree that they carry within this competition, but also just where they are compared to Celtic. I think you would expect this to be Celtic's ceiling tomorrow night. You would hope that they'll go and make it competitive and make a game of it. I think the reality will be that you might find that there are Celtic fans watching this game from behind the cracks of their fingers tomorrow night.
okay, you're a right bundle of joy on a Monday, aren't you? But I have to agree with Ali. I mean, I've got a scoreline in my head, Tam.
Was it 5-0?
It was 4-1.
4-1.
I think Celtic might get the odd set piece, but
I think Celtic can score, Peter. I think with Idah they're always going to be a threat on the counter attack. And I watched the Bayern Munich game at the weekend away to Leverkusen. I thought they were poor. I think they were lucky to get the 0-0. And any sort of pace in behind, Bayern play a high line. I think Idah, that's why he'll play tomorrow night. Anything in behind will cause them problems. But Bayern have got too much quality going forward for Celtic. So I don't think you'll be a million miles away with your 4-1 prediction, because I think Celtic will score, but Bayern, I'm just looking, you've got the league table up there, they score a lot of goals at home and in the Champions League, so they'll be too strong. But I agree with Brendan, Celtic have been a lot better in Europe this season and they've got to build on that next year.
what's your prediction?
I'll go for 3-1 to Bayern.
3-1?
I'm going to say 4-1 as well.
Oh, you've changed your tune by you had 5-0 earlier in the office. Come on.
I think Celtic might score as well, but I think it'll be a tough night.
Ruffy?
I think Bayern will do the exact same as what Celtic do to teams at Parkhead. They'll just grind them down eventually. I think Celtic will hang on in there, but I think eventually Bayern will win 2-0.
2-0. Oh, that's quite conservative for you.
2-0.
Is it a pumping 2-0 or is it just narrow?
No, that's the narrow one.
Just a narrow one. Okay, there you go. I'll tell you one bit of good news, Tam, is the fact that, when you look at them now, they're 8 points clear at the top of the Bundesliga. You wouldn't rule out Bayern winning everything this season and Harry Kane finally getting a whole trophy haul.
I know, it's obviously incredible that Harry Kane's never won a trophy. I just think that's incredible how good a player he is. Spent too long at Tottenham, but to go to Bayern Munich and Bayern not to win it last season is incredible, so they're bigger Jonah than me. But no, I just think that they have got the players and the potential to go. I think the Champions League's wide open this season. I don't think there's any kind of clear favourite. I think you can tell by the betting that there's a lot of teams in the mix. So yeah, I'd expect Bayern to go and be a hard team to stop in the Champions League this year. Yeah,
thanks to so many of you for your predictions on this one. I like this one, Ruffy. It'll be very tough. Try and stay in the game, and Munich could get edgy, yes, and only make it 3-1. But you never know. Stranger things. If Celtic were to go to the Allianz Arena and win and go through to the next round, it would be the greatest result in the club's history since 1967, Ruffy.
I'm trying to think, when I mean modern times, I mean the last 20 years, what is the biggest away win in Europe against a big team?
Well, Liverpool's a good one.
UEFA Cup.
I'm going to go European team then.
You want English teams don't count?
No, a European. What big Spanish or big Italian?
They had a great result against Spartak Moscow. That was good.
Lazio away.
All right.
They're not big.
What about Lazio?
I'm talking about the Bayerns and the Milans and the Spanish teams.
So only 4 teams that you can... only 4 or 5 teams that you can...
I mean the big... Pick 3 of the biggest Spanish teams, Italian teams, German teams. You know, have they beat any of them away from home? I know they put a good performance.
Ajax,
Charlie Nicholas, 1982.
and Dundee, 2001.
3-1. What about Ajax? Are Ajax?
When was that?
That was
Not the last 20 years.
2001.
I'm talking the last 20 years.
Oh, you've narrowed it down now. Is it? Are they allowed to have a silent R or a Q? I just want to know what the parameters are here, Ali.
They've had good results against good European sides, but not against a biggie.
Yeah.
They nearly had one in Barcelona, didn't they? A draw in Barcelona.
True in the new camp.
Today wasn't the best, but the mentality required certainly prevailed.
Was it on the ball all the time, the top quality like in our best games? Not today, but it was with the right mentality, and that needs to be the basics.
St Johnstone boss Simo Valakari admits that his side still have a lot of fight left in the tank despite the position in the league table.
I see these players. I said it when we were losing matches, many games in a row. I see these players every day in a training ground. They have a huge work rate. They have a huge desire to put these things right. And it's the same now. We recover, we analyse, and then we need to improve. We need to play better.
And finally, after Saturday's victory over St Johnstone, Killie winger Fraser Murray admits that his side could have netted a few more had they been that bit more clinical.
Yeah, I think we could have maybe got a few more goals in the first half if we were more clinical, but I think one of the most pleasing things was like two boys up front worked their socks off, everyone behind. We stuck to a game plan, pressing. One of the boys out of position, we cover for each other. And I think you saw it towards the end that nobody stopped running.
For all the latest breaking headlines, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, and don't forget to download our app, which is available on Google Play and the App Store.
Thanks to Kerry. We'll talk about Fraser Murray in a minute. I was well impressed by him. But Dundee 1, Aberdeen 2. The Dons are back, Ruffy. Suddenly...
Back into third,
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
You can save me. You're getting slaughtered on social media.
They've booked some flamethrowers. They've got the flags out, Ruffy. It's all back. The sparklers, everything is rosy again.
Well, just like Rangers, they needed to win again. You know, again. I mean, I only saw the highlights of the game, but I thought Dundee were unfortunate not to take something out of that game. I thought the chances they had were brilliant, but obviously we'll talk about the goal, the Aberdeen goal. But they grinded it out, and you could see the sort of release in the Aberdeen manager after the game and the players that they just needed to win a game.
Here's the thoughts on that match of Tony Docherty and Jimmy Tilleen.
Even when we didn't win, it's the next game now. We have to keep focused and working hard, because we know nothing is done. We know in May is the season over. So, but now at least we get 3 points. We win a game again, and now we have to focus on the next game.
I'm really disappointed with officials, because there was a tug absolutely on Antonio Portales, and the fourth official actually called it out and said to the referee it was a foul. Don't know if it went to VAR, if they checked it, but we thought certainly on the bench, my staff were saying to me the goal won't stand because it's a pull.
Well, what do you make of that, Ruffy?
No, I think it was a pull. I think it was. I don't think the boy was getting the ball anyway, but I don't think it was one of the pulls that you see. Oh, that is a definite. It was a sort of the two of them were so close together, so I wouldn't have given a penalty for that.
One of the real positives, I suppose, I was going to say your old mate Kevin Nisbet popped up with a goal, which will do his confidence the world of good. But the peach of a goal was Keskinen's.
Yeah, it was. Firstly on Nisbet, I think you need games. I think he got 90 minutes last week against Dunfermline. He got another 90 the weekend. I heard him speaking about it. I think as a player, as a striker, you've got to be playing, to get your full sharpness. I think he looks as if he's approaching that now. So he'll take confidence from the back-to-back goals. But Keskinen's is just it's a world-class finish, Peter. He takes it on a half-turn, 25 yards out, puts it in the top corner. Nothing the goalkeeper can do. You've just got to take your hat off and say, fantastic goal.
Always helps when nobody closes them down.
Yeah, too much space. I think Tony will be disappointed with the space he got to run into and then hit the shot. But Dundee in the second half had opportunities to get something out of the game. Aberdeen managed to ride the storm out, but I think that's a big result for Aberdeen. I think that the fact they go back into third place as well, they can reset now and just forget about the last couple of months and just think, right, okay, we're third now. Season starts now. If we finish the season strongly, we can still finish third this season. So it was a massive result for Aberdeen. And Dundee, drop into the playoff place. You're a wee bit concerned for them, Peter. Their defensive record's poor. this season. They've always got goals in them, but they need to tighten up defensively. They're going to be in the bottom two.
Usually Ali and I, because of the telepathy that Ali and I have together, we just usually look at each other when you two U-turn right, left and centre all the way through the season, and we just have a wee look at each other and go, I wonder what this dimwit's going to say today now that it's all gone pear-shaped.
I don't think that.
I'm sticking with Aberdeen third. I did call it.
Are you sticking with them?
And I did say Dundee playoff.
Yeah. I'll give you that, by the way.
The two of them are sitting in where I've predicted, but there's a long way to go.
Yeah. Are you sticking with Aberdeen?
I'm going to stick with Aberdeen, Peter. Yeah. I think that they've had a shocking run, and that's a damning indictment for the rest of the teams, to be honest. They've not won a game in 12, 13, 14 games. They won one game, they're back to third. So it just shows you the inconsistency of the other teams about them. But yeah, I think they can kick on now once the new players settle in a wee bit. I think they can still finish third.
I think it's a damning indictment of our league that they're 18 points behind Rangers, and Rangers have lost 9 games over the course of the season. Obviously, in the league, when you look at it, they've lost 4, but it's still, to be 18 points behind is it's not great, Ali. It just gives you an indication that we're I think some of the football I've watched this season has been slightly better than what I witnessed last season from the rest of the SPFL.
Yeah, although I think what you're seeing is you have Celtic who are really miles ahead of anything. Then you have Rangers who are miles better than the rest, and then you have the rest all jostling for position, and none of them can put together any kind of consistent run. I think it's appalling that Aberdeen can be on the run that they've been on, win a game and go back to third. I think it just highlights how poor everyone else has been round about them. Qualify it by saying the fact that they got off to such an impressive start and they had that sequence of winning games and going unbeaten for so long, but I just think it really shines a light on the teams round about them and how unable they've been to capitalise on Aberdeen's poor run of form. Yeah. I know they've eaten into it, and somewhere like Hibs have really made up a lot of ground, Hearts have made up a lot of ground, but for the teams that were in and around them and kind of biting at their heels, I think they'll kick themselves for not taking an opportunity.
Yeah. One of the things about this whole league setup, Ruffy, and I know people bang on about it, but if you don't bang on about it and eventually it doesn't change, I just don't... I think 12 teams, this whole league is geared towards avoiding relegation. The rest of it, I think that something needs to be done to try and... I don't know, is it down to just waiting on millionaires coming in to take over clubs? Because we are in a constant cycle here. I mean, if Celtic went on to win 10, 12, 13 in a row between now and the next, over the next decade, nobody would blink an eye. Because there's nobody going to touch them the way they're going unless something drastically changes. The rest of the clubs can't lay a glove on them.
No, I know what you mean, but we'll have this discussion nearly every season. I think we all agree that I think another 4 teams into the league would make it a wee bit more healthy. I think Falkirk have proved that, on numerous occasions. And I go back to, I keep looking at the Falkirk attendances. They've got a great support. I think they played at the weekend. I think there was 8,000 at the game. I mean, there's about 4 teams in the Premier League couldn't get 8,000 at home. And it just shows you what they would bring, financially to the SPL, not just the playing wise as well, but there are other teams as well. If given the chance, I think a wee bit more money behind them would make it more competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, there are games where you do actually look at a team and the way they play and you think they deserve credit. You've got to give them credit, and some of the players... I mean, Kenny says has to be 16 teams, Peter, at least try it for a season or 2. Kenny, I'm not going to disagree with you. I think 16, and you can still cut it in half and obviously get your 4 games against the teams if that's really the driving force all the time. Keith says the league has gone stale. Keith, unless you're a Celtic fan who looks forward to getting into the Champions League with the money all the time, it's just a non-stop cycle, and that's not Celtic's fault, by the way, because when Rangers were winning 9 in a row, the only challengers to Rangers was Aberdeen. Mm-hmm. Aberdeen are 6 out of the 9 years that Rangers were there winning. It wasn't Celtic, it was Aberdeen who were the main challengers to Rangers' dominance. I've got to read this out because every now and then, if we, I know sometimes you get a little wry smile when you hear about some of the criticism that comes your way, Ali, because some of the people who have said things about you have been quite nasty. It's easy for Tam and I, because we're over this half and we're Marmite. You either like us, or you hate us. Ruffy's the housewife's favourite, so nobody ever says anything bad against Ruffy. But Gary Connor says Alison is the best female pundit in Scottish football. So that's actually fantastic, and some people obviously there has exactly, and then somebody says Alison is a class act, and that's only because John, who clearly has had his message deleted, is absolutely, he must have been giving her one of her absolute catchphrases. John, remember, by the way, at the end of the day, we can only offer you opinions on football, and got to be one of my best signings, Ruffy. Is that fair over the last 20 years when we're here?
Best female, yeah.
What a moron you are. You really are, honestly. Anyway, thank you for the very nice things that people have said about Alison. And to the other person who was downright bloody awful, then, let's move on. Kelly 3, St Johnstone 1. On a positive note, there were two things that stuck in my mind. I thought Fraser Murray was fantastic, Alison, but what about Bobby Wales? I mean, honestly, if you want a guy to sign a contract, there's nothing like scoring goals for fun.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that was a huge win for Kilmarnock, and the converse for St Johnstone. I think it takes St Johnstone, it just punctures that wee tiny bit of optimism and momentum that had grown. I think Kilmarnock needed that win. I think it's absolutely massive for them. I think now, I think we all thought St Johnstone would be going down anyway. I think it looks now as though it's their fate is sealed. I'm sure they'll try and rally again, but for Kilmarnock, they need that. They're always quite difficult, I think, on home soil on Rugby Park. That pitch is much maligned, but I think they make it difficult for teams at home, and they'll fancy themselves now as just trying to get a wee bit of consistency.
Maybe not home soil is a good
Home
description
soil,
of it.
home plastic.
Yeah. Tam, I don't know about you, but even in an 11-a-side charity game, if you had dragged the ball out of the air coming over the top of your shoulder, you'd be still in the pub right now telling everybody about it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it was brilliant. He's been superb since he's come in. I think you put him out in Alloa to Alloa on loan, and he scored a lot of goals. Come back in. I had a couple of people onto me asking me about him, possibly going on loan, but Kilmarnock weren't letting him out again. I think Derek had plans to put him in the first team, and he's done that, and he's banging goals, and he looks a real talented player, and that's a great first touch, great finish, very cool in front of goal. So real good prospect. It's good to see young players coming through, Peter, and getting opportunities and doing well. So he's definitely one that, as I said in the show on Friday, I think the best thing for him is to sign a new deal with Kilmarnock. I think Derek likes him, will play him, and he'll get great experience there rather than maybe going to the Championship or somewhere like that and you're not going to play. So big result for Kilmarnock. They're away to Aberdeen next week, which is also a big game, and it just shows you a couple of back-to-back results for Kilmarnock. They've looking maybe second bottom. They're looking at the top six now. So such a tight league, and I agree with Alison. They'll pick a lot of points up at Rugby Park.
Yeah, were you impressed with Fraser Murray? I mean, I thought his creativity and his goal was superb.
Yeah, he's really come onto a game this season. I liked him at Hibs as a young boy coming through. He didn't quite break through at Hibs. Kilmarnock's took him. Derek's took a chance on him, and he looks as if he's playing with a lot of confidence at the minute. And he's always had a talent, always been talented, but he's got to put it together every week now, and he seems to be doing that at Kilmarnock under Derek McInnes.
Right, goal of the weekend then. I'm going to get everybody's thoughts. Look at Ruffy raging now because he's going to have to make a call on this one, but who are you giving it to?
I'll go Keskinen.
Yeah, I'm going Keskinen.
Keskinen.
Yeah, Ruffy.
Idah.
Idah?
Celtic.
Yeah.
Idah. Yep.
Yeah?
I thought it was unbelievable pace of a ball to hit with the outside of your foot. It was just incredible.
Yeah, okay. It's just an opinion, Ruffy. Yeah. We're not going to slaughter you for it. Kenny will shortly from Los Angeles, but nevertheless, I just thought, 3 great goals. And of course, when you see young players scoring great goals like that, it's absolutely brilliant. And everybody's got an opinion on it. Give us your thoughts on it. One little footnote, and then I think it's a negative. St Johnstone and Kilmarnock are investigating an allegation of racist abuse in the away end during the game between the two sides at Rugby Park. You never really like to hear that. I don't know what would possess somebody to still think it's okay You know, not only in the. I always think back when you were a kid and you were going to games. It would never enter your head to say something like that.
It's depressing, and I think you've just got to do the right thing. You've got to take it through the correct channels. You've got to call it out. You've got to shine a light on it, and you've got to make it unacceptable culturally and everything else. You need people round about you just to be calling it out as well. I have to say, like, I think it's quite a rare thing. You hear all sorts of things at football. I think it is pretty rare, and I think as it should be. I think you need people to be fairly explicit about the condemnation about it, and you need the clubs to say, on you go, like, you're not welcome.
Yeah, it's rare inside the ground, Ali. It's not rare outside it. That's all I would say to you. Up and down the country, pubs, you know, large gatherings, it's not rare. There's a lot of work needs to be done in education on people at grassroots level, right the way through to try and educating some of their parents who need to take a long, hard look at themselves.
Call it out. I think you need people, you need your contemporaries to say.
There was a game in England at the weekend. They stopped the game until they got the guy. And I don't know if it was supporters.
Preston v Burnley.
I know that was a player. That was a player.
Hannibal, wasn't it?
Aye, but there was another game where the referee actually stopped the game, and obviously there wasn't a big crowd, and the guy was identified right away, and they just put him out right away.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the right thing to do. Who's gone? Is it St Johnstone? Is there any way back for them? Can they still go on a run like the last little bit of momentum that they managed to achieve over the last 2 or 3 weeks? Or are they gone? Give us your thoughts on that. And have Killie done enough now to start focusing on looking up the way rather than worrying about that trapdoor to the playoffs and relegation down the way? Here's both managers after that 3-1 win for Killie.
Those 4 games, we have been, as I said it, we have been able to defend. Now we concede early goal. It changed a little bit the dynamics of the game, but I see these players. I said it when we were losing matches, many games in a row. I see these players every day in a training ground. They have a huge work rate. They have a huge desire to put these things right. And it's the same now. We recover, we analyse, and then we need to improve. We need to play better.
No, listen, we want to be a top 6 team there this season. We always thought with the European involvement, and then obviously we've added to our woes at the start of the season with the discipline part and getting players sent off. It's the first time we've finished a game against St Johnstone with 11 men. So we've got to take ownership at times with that. We always thought we could play a bit of catch up, and we would like to have had more points on board, but we're still in a position where if we find our best form, we can still be a top 6 team.
Yep, and it's still open to them as well. They've got a new manager, Motherwell 0, Ross County 3. Stephen Frail knew he was going to be in charge for this one before the eventual announcement of Michael Wimmer. So they've got a new manager, and he's got a bit of work to do because it's not over down at the bottom end. Motherwell could be dragged in there.
Yeah, they can. I think they're so tight round about the bottom. A couple of weeks ago they were sitting fifth place, I think. When Stuart Kettlewell left, they've dropped down a couple of defeats, but really disappointing performance at the weekend.
I know the result was disappointing, Tam, but I thought they had chances. I mean, Tony Watt hits the post, and another day it just nicks in. You okay, Ali? Yeah. And another day it just nicks in and changes the outcome or the momentum, maybe.
Yeah, I think second half Peter had opportunities, but Ross County I think thoroughly deserved the win. I think wee boy Hale's been in and out the team in the last couple of weeks, but two fantastic finishes, very calm in front of goal. Not try to blast it, put his laces through it, side foot into the corner. 2 great finishes, then Conor Randall comes up at the end. So you've got to give Ross County a lot of credit. They were getting written off, a few weeks ago, being in the bottom 2, but all of a sudden they've sorted their away form out. I think they've won 4 of the last 5 away from home, which is really good going for them because they're always hard to beat up in Dingwall. So if they keep continuing the way they're going away from home, then they're not going to be in any trouble at the bottom.
Yeah, this is what Stephen Frail and Don Cowie made of that result.
Our focus is, we know we've got 7 games until the split, and we've spoke about, let's see how many points we can, accumulate in that spell, and just focus on ourselves. We know how tight the league is. We know how many good teams there is in the league. A lot of teams around us are in good form.
The players knew since the first day that Stuart left, that there was a new manager coming in. They knew that I was only taking it, at least for the Celtic game, possibly for this game this afternoon. So they knew that, but I don't think we've done enough collectively to show that we should be putting on a better performance in that.
Yeah, clearly disappointed. Stephen Frail now out of work as well, as Michael Wimmer wants to bring in his own side and his own team. As far as Ross County, are they?
No, I think they'll be okay, Peter.
Yeah.
As I said, I think St Johnstone will finish bottom, but I think there's 3 or 4 clubs in the mix, and if Ross County keep picking up results away from home, they'll be fine.
You sticking with Dundee?
I think Dundee might be in the playoffs, sadly.
Ruffy?
No, I'm sticking with Ross County. I think they're on a wee run now.
Okay. Ali?
I don't know. I think it'll be between Ross County and Dundee.
Okay. St Mirren 0, Hibs 0. This one's not going to DVD. We're not going to watch it ever again in our lives. It'll never be shown. It'll never even be shown if they were releasing a DVD on. Do they release DVDs nowadays? On the story of the season. Do you remember you used to get the story of the season on your video and everything, Ruffy?
Sometimes you get a story for anything.
Yeah.
Some teams.
Okay, I was wondering where you were going with that, Ruffy.
I know about Ruffy's video collection, by the way.
St Mirren 0, Hibs 0. This is, by the way, dreadful pitch. I don't know what's happened with the groundsman.
Dreadful sending off as well, Peter.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
not a second yellow card, is it? I mean, that's the boy's debut. He's come on, he's been booked and he's been sent off.
Didn't last long.
15, 20 minutes. Just jumps for a header, sending him off for that's a joke.
Yeah.
The referee, I think, listen, the game was crap, but the referee didn't help it with blowing his whistle every 2 minutes.
Which is awful.
Pitch
It's just absolutely
A
dreadful.
lot of the pitches didn't look Parkhead didn't look particularly good either. That was because they had a midweek game, but a
I
lot
thought
of the
Celtic Park's not looked great for a couple of weeks. to be
a lot
fair.
of the park looked as if they were deteriorating a wee bit.
This is what Stephen Robinson and David Gray made of that 0-0 bore.
Well, we beat Rangers. We were the better side against Hearts, in my opinion. Neil might agree with that, but I thought so. And who's the next one? Celtic?
Celtic.
Yeah, well, we'll see how they go on that pitch as well. So, listen, it's all to play for. We don't fear anybody. We go and we press. We have a right go at people. Sometimes we don't have the finishing product and the end product in the final third. And that's the level of where we are.
I think a couple of times in the first half when we did show a little bit of quality and put 2 and 3 passes together, we carried a little bit more of a threat, but it wasn't often enough. It was very bitty. We probably went back to front too early and turned it into a bit of a fight, which was probably not an enjoyable watch for most. But as I say, the positives to take from it is we will play a lot better than that. We know we can play a lot better than that, but we get a point and a clean sheet and the momentum keeps going and this run keeps going, which is great. And we've got a big game to look forward to next week with the boys in a good, confident place.
Yeah, absolutely. Hibs, Dundee United and Aberdeen at the moment battling it out for third. I can't pick. He's sticking with Aberdeen. I'm tempted towards Hibs.
Yeah, I thought Aberdeen were fortunate at the weekend. I thought Dundee had chances to take something out of that game. It remains to be seen whether Aberdeen can get back on some kind of run. But we keep saying that about Hibs all year. You know, this is the run, and then on the weekend happens they don't pick up 3 points. So I think it's all to play for. I can't see anybody else coming out of the pack.
Yeah. Ali, who are you going for?
For third?
Yeah.
I wonder if Hearts might sneak it.
What? They're a wee bit back at the moment.
Still got a bit to go. I think they were unbeaten in 8 games until yesterday. I thought they played all right yesterday. On another day, I think they might have taken something. I think whoever can just find a wee bit of consistency will get it.
Go for Hearts.
I think I'm between Hearts and Hibs.
I'm going to go Hibs. You going Hearts?
Right, okay.
Bottle of wine, 30 quid.
Double or quits.
Alison's going for the 2 Edinburgh clubs, the Salt and Sauce.
Yes. Ruffy?
I'm going to go for Hearts.
The Jambos?
Finished
they're on
third.
a wee run.
They're 9th. 30 points.
I still think they're on a wee run.
Yeah, but how many points are there between them and 8 points in them and Aberdeen?
Oh dear. Yeah, it's too much, isn't it? I'm just surprised that you did that, Ruffy.
Made my assessment having not seen the table.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, apart from anything else, Hope you enjoyed our programme today. Don't forget, we'll get the journos coming up this week, the women's football show, and lots more with our reporters out at the grounds for the breaking news. We'll hear from the Motherwell manager this week, the new Motherwell manager, Michael Wimmer. Give us your thoughts on that. Well, fans, are you excited by the prospect of a new man, a new voice, and maybe some positive results? It's Scottish football. We're on 7 days a week with our content coming at you, and if you want to, you can download the app and you'll get it all the breaking news at your fingertips there as well. Don't forget, I've got the blue one on, Ruffy's got the black one on. Tam obviously is in another camp at the moment, but we'll eventually get rid of him with that one. Ali's got one top. She hasn't got it out of the washing basket because the kids have just kept dumping everything on top of it. But if you like the Maestro top and some of our Legends tops, then we leave you with details of how you can get involved in purchasing them in the PLZ Soccer Shop. Thanks for watching and listening.
PLZ Soccer Shop is open for business. You can purchase one of our stunning line of Icons t-shirts featuring legends of the game from across the world. Designed by award-winning artist Jim Scullion, they are exclusive to PLZ Soccer. Our Maestro training tops are ideal for sport and casual wear in the colour of your favourite team. From Pirlo to Pele, we've got you covered. Visit the PLZ Soccer Shop now by clicking the link below.